Namaste and very good evening from India, ladies and gentlemen. This is yours truly, Digvijay Vanchu, and I want to welcome you to the Bangalore edition of Flutter Engage Extended Meetup. Uh, since you already know what kind of condition the world is in right now, well, Google used to have these extravagant events that would, be full of new reveals and all these things. But since they could not really do it in person, Flutter Engage was their way of telling the world what's new in the world of Flutter, and here we are doing our part to spread it across the world and through our own quarters and our own means. So I just want to welcome all the viewers and everybody to this event, and thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us. I know people are joining us from all across the globe, and some are really up really late or really early, so we really appreciate that. Flutter 2 is finally here. Tim really nailed the keynote at the actual event, so please forgive me if I'm not half as good as him, but I'll try. So to begin with, this edition is one of the many extended events that are happening across the world in many countries, uh, organized by the wonderful global representatives of the Flutter community that we are so proud to be a part of. It's been 2 years since Flutter was shown to the world, and we have truly come so far now that I don't even remember what the very first Flutter version looked like. But that could be my memory too, but it has been an absolute pleasure to see the Flutter team really put their heart and soul into this project and bring it to where it is today. Speaking of contributors, we are going to be joined today by some of the most amazing and brilliant minds in the Flutter community, and I just cannot wait to have a chat with them today in front of all of you guys. So let me just take this very quick moment to slide in a shameless plug about Geeky Ants and Flutter BLR and talk about what we are and what this is all about. So as Geeky Ants, we have been working with Flutter since it was released in its beta stage. And we have built a lot of things and broke way more things than we have built in order to really truly understand this new piece of technology that was presented to us. We built starter kits and launched an entire marketplace revolving around them, which were very well received. We have done tons of in-house experiments and open source contributions since then. We have also had the opportunity to meet the Flutter team in their own turf and had the chance to contribute to the official documentation of Flutter. Yep, we're right there. So right then we knew that we had to spread the word about Flutter everywhere, and that is when we established Flutter BLR, which is our local meetup group in Bangalore. We have been doing these meetups ever so often since, and here we are today talking about the latest developments in Flutter together. Well, enough about us. Let's walk through the agenda for today. We are going to be welcoming Devanand, who is going to be talking about the Flutter Engage recap. He's going to be telling you about what happened at the actual event and what all new announcements were made during that event. We are joined by Hasnan Tai, who is going to be talking about his newfound obsession with Material Button. We're going to be joined by Thomas Buckhart, who is going to be talking about his newest project, Get It, and show it to all of you in action. We are also going to be joined by Manas Pratap Thakur, who is going to be talking about developing blockchain with Flutter, which he recently wrote an article on. And towards the end, we will have a Q&A session with Mariam Hasnani and Thomas Burkhardt. So please tune in. We have an amazing lineup for you guys, and we are really excited to present this show to you today. Before we officially begin, of course, just a few rules and a code of conduct that needs to be followed. Of course, it is very important for all of us to be friendly with our fellow viewers. Please refrain from any hate speech, any racism, or inappropriate comments in the chat messages. Keep it light, keep it friendly, keep it simple. Of course, we understand that you might have a lot of questions for all of our presenters and the people who are going to be joining us today. So do leave your questions in the comment section, and we will surely get them answered for you. But do not please spam your questions. We will get to them eventually. And of course, I mean, it comes without saying that it is very important to adhere to this code of conduct and these rules, because not adhering to these might, get you banned temporarily from the chat, and nobody wants that. So, of course, before we move on with the show, please do remember to tweet about what you see and keep everyone else in the loop. To use the hashtag FlutterBLR. That's FLUTTERBLR, and let the world know what we are doing here today. So without any further delays, let's talk about what happened at the actual Flutter Engage event with Devanand. let's have Devanand here with us. Hi, Devanand. Very good evening.
Hey Digvijay, good evening.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Well, it has been a long time since I've seen and spoken to you. I think we did talk at one of our meetups quite long ago. I think that was a couple of months ago, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. It was on August.
It was in August. Wow, that's a long time ago. But it's good to see you. Good to see you again. So, as a quick introduction for Devanand, he is a software engineer at Geeky Ants, and he started his work as a tester. Then he moved on to development. He found this newfound love for Flutter, and he started exploring it. And now he's become a Flutter developer, and he's doing pretty well at it. Uh, Other than that, I think he loves to do for outdoor cycling and loves to watch a lot of TV shows and movies. So I guess Devanand can tell you about him better. So I'm just going to let him do that. So Devanand, the stage is all yours. Let everybody know what happened at Flutter Engage and take it away.
Sure. Thanks for the intro. I extend my warm welcome to the community folks who are available right here. I'm Devanand and I'm working as a software engineer in Geeky Ants. And I'm here to give a small insight about what was happened at the Flutter Engage event, what new functionalities and features were introduced, and what lot of exciting features all the Flutter team has given us to the Flutter community, which helps us to grow in a better way. So I'm very glad to give a speech on this. And without any further delay, let me go on to the topics which has been discussed in the Flutter Engage event to give you a small insight. Yeah. So, Flutter Engage was a grand event which was conducted last month. I guess it was on March 3rd. So, the Flutter team has come up with a new upgrade called Flutter 2 with a lot of exciting features and a lot of features they have given us to the development community, which is going to create a huge difference in the development community as far as concerned. So I'm really happy to give all the insights about what was introduced here. So the Flutter team has been working a lot. Flutter was, as you all know, Flutter was a official technology introduced by Google, and the Google team has worked a lot on Flutter for improvising from the day one of introducing the Flutter to the market. So for the past 3 years, we have been seeing a lot of significant features introduced, and in this Flutter 2, there are like a lot of features which they have came up with in terms of building themselves towards the market trends in the fast moving environment, and that definitely gonna create a huge impact over the development community, I can say. So let's go on by topics what has been discussed. So now Flutter 2 can be considered as a portable framework. More than a framework, it has given a one-stop solution for all the platforms. So Flutter 2 has been targeting more than mobile devices. Now they have been targeting all the operating systems like Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and web, including a lot of improvements in the existing mobile platform. So this has been a significant change which they have introduced, and now Flutter can be considered as a portable framework which gives you one code base for all these kinds of technology. I mean, all these kinds of code base. So this has been a major improvement they have brought in the Flutter 2.0, and this will give us one of the main reason for development community to switch towards Flutter technology, because now Flutter gives you one code base for all the platforms. So this is going to be a huge impact on the development community, and for that experimental purpose, as a proof of evidence, the Flutter team has associated with the Gskinner team for demonstrating the rendering of the application towards all the platforms. So this flutter.gskinner.com, this website will give you an entire overview of how the same application, this is a scrapbook application which they have created for the experimental purpose, which has been rendering high time in all kinds of devices like mobile, desktop, web, and tablets. So if you could see this article or the demonstration what they have given, you could get a big idea of how the Flutter team has worked on minute details to make it render good across all the platforms. So this is going to be a huge change in the development community, I can say. So coming to the exciting news, the Google Pay application, which we use on a daily basis, because now everything has become digital and Google Pay has become one of the prominent applications which we use in our lifestyle. And this Google Pay application, they have completely rewrote in Flutter as a proof of evidence that Flutter does big in the market. So now the Google Play application, which is available in the Play Store and the App Store, has been completely rewrote and has been migrated towards Flutter. So if you could see the lines of code, it has been reduced from 1.7 million lines of code to 1.1 million lines of code, which is making a huge impact in terms of the code base, making the application lighter also. And the tech debt went by 90%, reduced, and the engineering productivity was increased by 20%. Why? Because now the Google Pay application does not need native development in Android and iOS side. So now Flutter has given us a single code base for writing it in the across all the platforms. And now the Google Play application, which is available, Google Pay application is available in the real-time environment, is working fine and better than the previous one, which is very evident that Flutter gives us lot of improvisations in terms of performance and stability. This huge risk has been taken by the Google team, and they have proven out with flying colors that Google Pay application is one of the main evidence that Flutter is doing big time in the market. Now, one of the exciting news, always this kind of technical associations helps us in building the community and the company in a better way. And now Microsoft has come up with an association with the Google team to introduce Flutter for their foldable phones, which is Surface Duo, which is the flagship phones, which is now introduced by Microsoft. So the association has been made officially by the Microsoft team and the Google team, and the Microsoft technical team. They have been supporting with all this display dimensions and matrix, for which the dual displays, the foldable displays, will be rendering in Flutter technology. So now Flutter development can be used for developing applications across the foldable phones also. And an association with Samsung devices with the company Samsung is also going on. So now Flutter proves us that it is irrespective of all the platforms or all the devices, Flutter renders us a one single code base application in across all the things. So which is gonna be a very great news towards the development community. Why only technical things like Android or iOS or tab? These are like normal usage, but Toyota company has come up with one exciting news that they have been building their next gen vehicle infotainment system, which is powered by Flutter. Exciting, right? Because the dashboard, all the softwares which is being used in the dashboard, they have been experimenting with research and analysis with the Flutter team, and now the Toyota team has come up with a solution that all the dashboard systems are being powered by Flutter technology, which is a very exciting news. Maybe in future, if we get a new car which is like Toyota automobile vehicle, all the infotainment systems will be powered by Flutter technology. Maybe you could have one kind of a vehicle around you. So which is an exciting news for the development community also. So now Flutter proves that not only in normal kinds of technologies, Flutter helps us in embedded systems also. So which is also a great news, and this will help us grow the community towards the robotic systems and artificial intelligence, and lot kind of experiments will be carried forward on based on this kind of start. So this is an exciting news for the Flutter community. And the most exciting part comes here. Flutter Web is now stable. Exciting news, right? Because Flutter Web has been under research and analysis, and for the development working was taken care by the Flutter team for a lot of period. And now Flutter Web is being confidently announced in this Flutter 2.0. It is being shipped and migrated towards the stable branch. So now portability is ensured across all platforms, and web will be one of the target when you just write a code base for your mobile application. So now you don't need to switch between the channels for development. And now Flutter team has confidently come up with a lot of testing and research and analysis that now Flutter web applications will also prove high in the market. So web specific widgets like link widgets are being announced, which is also one of the more specific features towards the web technology. So now I think most of the developers, they will have a reason to switch towards Flutter technology on based on this Flutter web. So which is an most exciting news in the which is announced, and most important prominent news which is announced in the Flutter 2 upgrade. So this is one of the main thing. Next comes not only for web, Flutter is now supporting desktop applications also. So the desktop applications which has been especially created for Mac OS, Windows and Linux is now available in the stable channel of Flutter 2.0 with the early release flag. Now they have been developing towards all those improvisations, and later on this year, Flutter will be available on stable for desktop development also. In the stable channel without any flag. So now it is been prominently working, and lot of research and analysis is going on towards the desktop environment. And now here comes the most promising news that Ubuntu team, the Canonical team, who are the publishers of the Ubuntu OS, they have chosen Flutter as the default choice for the desktop and mobile apps created by them. And the Flutter SDK is available in the Linux App Store as an SDK. So now you can just download and utilize Flutter as a SDK, which is available in their Snap Store, which is very similar to the App Store or the Play Store, which is available. And for all their flagship products, Ubuntu team has taken this high risk, more than a risk. The trust they have on Flutter has increased, and they have chosen Flutter as a default choice for the applications which is being developed, which is a pretty good news, right? Because all these kinds of pioneers like Microsoft and Ubuntu, Linux, they are having trust on Flutter, and they are been doing some collaborations, which is a very healthy news for the Flutter development too. So installation of Ubuntu OS, the SDK will be shipped on a Flutter SDK, so which is very exciting, right? So when you just put an OS installation, and when you choose the disk on the size, everything will be shipped on a Flutter application. So these kind of trust and the compassion that the team has put on Flutter team is gonna help the Flutter improve a big time in the market. So this is a very exciting news here. So coming to the technical part, now sound null safety has been introduced in Dart. This has been in a discussion for a couple of months, and now the Dart team has brought a sound null safety system, helping in eliminating the null issues in runtime. So these kind of like sound static variables, smarter flow analysis, late variables, this kind of variables has been introduced in Dart 2.12 version, which is being launched right now. And this is one of the good news, that Flutter is now a robust and a strong language. So you can avoid all the exceptions and all the errors which is happening in the runtime itself. So which makes Dart a pretty good language for development also. And lot of packages which is available in the pub.dev has been migrated towards null safety, and people are adapting towards this null safety and making this as a mandatory thing for Dart development. So which is a pretty good news for all the projects which is available in null safety. And you have the provision to ship all the older projects which you have developed without null safety to null safety also. You have the provision to do that. So which is a good news, right? And the dev tools which has been prominently supporting the Flutter development has been upgraded with a lot of new features right now, with a lot of improvisations, auto corrections. All these features has been brought into the dev tool. So this technical features will definitely prove a huge difference in terms of development technicalities for the developers who are in the Flutter community. And upgraded Firebase plugins for plugin Flutter was being introduced. Like Flutter and Firebase are like close friends, and they're tightly coupled with each other, because for a lot of Flutter projects we have been using Firebase as a backend. So now authentication, cloud firestore, cloud functions, and crashlytics, all these kinds of the core Firebase packages has been upgraded to null safety, and lot of improvisations has brought in towards this Firebase packages also, which is one of the good news for Flutter development. And coming at the last, what one exciting news now, Google Mobile Ads SDK is available for Flutter. Previously, Google Mobile Ads was a service and we can use it only as an overlay over the application. But now Flutter team has worked on a lot of improvisations here, and they have brought in this Google Mobile Ads as a Flutter widget. So now using this SDK, which is available in the pub.dev, we can use all this widgets inside the mobile application, and this is one of the great exciting news for all the improvisation. And one of the prominent evidence here is Swa Musica, which is a US based music company. They have adopted this Google Mobile Ads as a beta program, and they have utilized this, and they have seen like 35% increase in the ad impressions in the private beta program, which is a very good news for monetizing the Flutter apps also. So Flutter now helps in marketing the applications also, which is also one of the good news, and this has been officially targeted by the Flutter team for monetizing the applications. So coming at last, so now to summarize everything, from the last Flutter upgrade, more than 25,000 merge request has been closed by the Flutter team, and more than 8,000 issues has been fixed by the Flutter team from considering from the last upgrade to the new upgrade. So which is a pretty good improvement, that, and it shows that the Flutter team has been working a lot to improvise the technology and make Flutter as a optimistic and a performance oriented, a stable language. More than all the points discussed here, we have a lot of improvised improvised technical improvements which is being got into the Flutter 2 upgrade, which is available in the Flutter Engage event as a complete link, and they have written some articles also on that, which we can just refer it. I have just gave a small insight of all the technical aspects which is being brought into the new Flutter upgrade and what the community is being working on. So we as a community, we all will work together to improvise and bring Flutter to a big time in the market, and that's how we can do justice to what the team has been doing on. So adios to, and thanks a lot for everyone for their patient listening. Catch me on Twitter at this ID so that if you have any doubts or if we could discuss something related to Flutter, I'm always happy to help. And thanks a lot for listening to this event. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Hi again, Devanand.
Hey, Digvijay.
Hi, you're able to hear me, right?
Yes, I'm able to.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for filling everybody in and on what happened at Flutter Engage, and briefing everybody on what are the new releases and all the new updates that have happened in Flutter and made it even greater than it ever was. Thank you so much for that. We really don't have any questions from the viewers regarding the event for you at the moment. So I think we're just going to move on with the event right now. But of course, we would love to have you towards the end of the event as well. So please do stick around. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'm glad to do that. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Perfect. Thank you, Devanand. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
See you soon. All right, folks. So that was Devanand, and he briefed everybody about what happened at Flutter Engage and what were the new things and the new shortcomings of this technology that we absolutely love and love working on. Moving on with the event, of course, we are going to be joined by Hasnan Tai. He is a YouTube sensation, and he's going to be talking about his newfound love for Material Button and talking about what all things, different things you can do with it. So let's have Hasnan here with us. There he is. Good evening, Hasnan.
Hey, how are you? Good evening.
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. After a long time, it's happy to be here.
Yes, we are happy to host you again after a long time.
Thanks
I've had the privilege of meeting Hasnan in person, and I think I should just tell everybody that he has been building some of the most amazing things that you can find out there, and not just building them, but teaching people how to build them through his YouTube channel, which is a tremendous thing, and I really appreciate that.
Thanks.
So today, Hasnan, I think you're going to be talking about this the material button and the different things that you can do with it. And I think
Yes.
everybody is really
Thank you.
excited to hear what you have to say. Uh, but as a short introduction, of course, he works as a software engineer with Toshiba. He is also owns a channel on YouTube where he puts up tutorials on how what different things you can do with Flutter, and he absolutely adores Flutter to the extent that he keeps talking about it all the time. And of course, I mean, that's what it is, right? That's what passion looks like. And he is also a huge fan of cricket. He spends a lot of time watching cricket. Whatever times he gets, he spends playing cricket. So I guess that keeps him fit and keeps us all keep going on through these difficult times, of course. So Hassan, I think I'll let you take over, and all the best.
Sure. Thanks a lot. So let me go ahead and share my screen first. So it's just a long process to share a screen. Okay. Uh, okay. So my name is Asnentai, and I work as a software engineer at Toshiba. That's my Twitter handler, and we can go ahead and you can go ahead and contact over me there if you have any issues. So let's go ahead and check it out what I have to say about material buttons. Okay, and let's see what agenda we have today. So first thing first, we have material buttons and their themes to discuss about. It's going to be a quite long topic, and we are going to see what exactly is there in the material buttons, and what are the themes, and what are the breaking changes, or the soft breaking changes, we can say. Then we have something called scaffold messenger, and we have asynchronous snack bars. So being a beginner in the Flutter, you need to know this, right? So when we have any deprecated widget, right, we always get a warnings from our editors or from our Android Studio or Visual Studio saying that your widget is deprecated, and it gives a suggestion that okay, we should not use this. Instead of that, we should use this. But we should really ask question: why is that happening, or why the widget is deprecated? What is the reason behind that? So there's a common reason is that we might be, or the Flutter team might be upgrading the previous problems, or with the time it goes, it understands what is the new requirements, and then the widget is upgraded. But let us see what happens with the material buttons, and why we have old widgets with their new names and with their new themes as a as a solution, why they overcome with this solution, or why they overcome the previous problem with this solution by just keeping a new buttons name, new button widget name, and the new theme name for all the different widgets. So as you can see on the screen, we have a flat button named as a text button in the new widget, right? Raise button is being now called as elevated button, and the outline button is known as outlined button, right? And before they were sharing the common themes, but now they have a different theme classes for their particular widget. Now, why this is happening, or what was the problem, why they just came up to this solution, that why we need to replace or redesign the widget and the theme. Let's just go ahead and check it out in the next slide. So let us try to understand the problem, right? If you want to know more what exactly happening, or there is a huge discussion going on this issue number that is 19623 on the Flutter GitHub repo, you can just go ahead and take a look. There's a huge discussion on that, and let us just go ahead and jump into the understanding the problem and how they overcame this problem, right? So now problem was okay. Before we understand this slide, right, I just wanted to know or make you understand that there was a problem with the theme which they were using commonly for all the different buttons, right? So now you can see over here in this application there is a date picker, right? and they have been customized with the different colors. And we are trying over here, we are trying to give our own theme to the widget, but somewhere our theme is getting failed. And you can see over here where I have just where the image is showing that the buttons are trying to take the primary color or the theme which is being used from the button, right, or from the theme button, I mean the button text theme, right? But over here there is an issue. We are not able to override our custom theme with this piece of code, right? And of course there was a way to override this, but if you are a beginner, or that there was no clear specification in the API documentation how you can override this, or there was a hacky way to do this. But there was an issue where the widgets which are using which is known as a button bar, right? Which were using button bars were overriding the theme which was as a default theme. So they were not using the button theme, right? So that was the issue. So in this particular screenshot, we can see that our button, which is inside our Cupertino, I mean the not the Cupertino, but this is the material date picker, which was not overridden, right? So this was the issue. But why was that issue coming up, right? So we have a big hurdle over here, is that the button bar, right? So this button bar was used or incorporated with the alert dialog or date picker. So whatever buttons you put into the date picker or alert dialog, right, they were wrapped with the button bar. And button bar always overrides the button text theme dot primary, not the text theme. So there was an issue, and that it was been overridden always. And there was not a specific way to overcome this issue. So now there is something that there were so more many more issues, but this is one of them. And the objective behind this change was to just make it easy to configure the visual properties of standard material buttons widget, so that we can have overall application theme and component specific themes working all fine, right? So the simple task like configuration of the text color for all the text buttons should be simple, right? There should not be a hacky way to do that. So the objective was that to make it pretty simple, so that everyone can understand and just use it into their application, right? So as we know, there was a hurdle called button bar, which was overriding the theme. Okay, and there was another root cause of this problem was a grab bag, right? So there was a system in the Flutter while designing the whole material states or whatever. So there was a grab bag property, right? Which shares which was getting shared by everywhere for disable color or button hover color and stuff like that, right? So this was sharing everywhere, and this was creating a problem while developing the apps. So there was an issue with the theme, right? So when you change the theme from dark to light, there was an issue, or you need to override, or somewhere it was not getting overridden. So what they decided is to come up with a solution where we will redesign the new widgets with a different name, and everyone will have a different theme for different buttons, right? So in the first or the last theme, we saw that we have different themes for different buttons, right? So elevated button have a theme called elevated button theme. Outline button has a class called outline button theme, which incorporates and respectively to their application, or they overrides the whatever code goes on. So finally, what they did was to overcome such issue, the new widgets were designed, right? Now, as I said, the objective was to make it easy to configure for visual property so that user can easily, manage the themes and have their application looks pretty good, or they can have however they want, right? Now, there was one more important thing when the material buttons was designed, when Flutter was launched in back 2018. There was a different naming convention for a material design spec as well. So now there was one more reason why they renamed this button was the material design specs were given a new name, as we saw in the second slides, that they have been renamed to flat button, to the text button, and so on. So that was also one more reason where they want to sync their Flutter widgets to be same as the material design spec, right? So that helps a developer to understand how exactly the design system goes on for material, right? Now, let me just go ahead and show you something. What was there, what was going on with the buttons, and how they design something good over here. So I'm just going to pull up my window, another window over here, and I hope it is visible. So you can see we have a text button over here. Previously it was a flat button, now we call it as a text button, right? And then we have something called text button.icon, right? So that we can pass in the icon directly. So you might be able to see over here, we are passing the icon directly and then the label to our text button.icon, right? So this is how they have designed the new theme over here. And this is how we can incorporate all the new theme. Now, let's go ahead and check it out. What other things we have with this material buttons, right? So if I just go ahead and take a look, I have a different colors which is being handled by the single button. So you can see if I just click, the colors are being changed nicely, and the theme is getting maintained properly, right? So this was there was a problem before this new material buttons comes in, and they were not managed well, or whatever the problem we just talked previously in the slides now has been handled so nicely, so that the application looks pretty good and have a complete nice theming. Now, if we just go ahead and take a look on the other text style buttons, you can see over here, I can just go ahead and resize them, and everything works totally fine, right? Now, over here, there is an individual style as well, as we just saw that they have a different theme classes for different buttons. So they have a different individual design. Before, it was just sharing a common design or a theme, right? So we have a different button shape renamed with different property, and you can see they have been well managed. Now, in the alert box also, we have a hover effect available in the theme. So the problem was right over here, right? So when the alert was over here, it uses the button bar, and it was used to override with the button text, not the text theme, right? So that was the issue over here, and we can see with the different theming, we have a different colors available over here, and so now it works perfectly fine. So we have a different shape for different buttons as well. So you can see we have no border over here, or a different color border on the other button, and we have a nice really approved button with a different border. So it's pretty good to handle all the different cases for the buttons using the new universe of the material button, we can say. And so that this was incorporated or was launched in 1.22 of Flutter version, but the perspective of this talk was to make all the Flutter developer understand that what's happening on the team as well. So there is a nice document given by a detailed document given by the Hans over here. it just provides all the information, what objective they had, what was the problem they were facing, and what exactly the properties were getting overridden. And it has a nice explain a doc which I can share it uh, in the chat section maybe later on after this talk. And yeah, you guys can go ahead and check it out, what's happening with this document and how they come up with this solution, and what was the discussion happened between them. So yeah, let's go ahead and check it out. What are the other widgets we have to work with? Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look on what's happening over here. And maybe I lost the alignment over here, or maybe I don't know. So just forgive me for that. Okay. So now, being a beginner, you always confused what is context and how it works, what is the widget tree and what's happening with the widget tree. So to understand that, we have something called a snack bar, right? So previously, the problem was the snack bar is always associated with the scaffold. So if you pop out your scaffold from the widget tree, right, the snack bars goes off and it will be never shared between the two screens, right? But now, with the help of Scaffold Messenger, we can share the scaffold easily, and we have a good hero animation going on the screen where you can just see the snack bar say that I can fly. And once we click on the get snack bar and we navigate to the another page, the snack bar stays right over there, right? So this was the great, I can say, to overcome that issue, which was which is given by the Flutter framework itself. So I guess, yeah, you should be using Scaffold Messenger to, make your application looks good or more mature while you notify your user has something has happened with your application or application state, right? So yeah, we have a Scaffold Messenger over here. Now, the next one, what we have is asynchronous snack bar, right? So the asynchronous snack bar is a snack bar where you will you have some network calls in your application, right? And you want to notify your user after your network calls get satisfied, or when you get 200 response, or maybe whatever, it might be an error or a success, whatever. So there was a hacky way, we would say, that to do this stuff. But right now what we have is, we call the snack bar from another scaffold, right? We go to the another page, that is gallery page, we wait over there, and the asynchronous snack bars pop in over there. So maybe the use case would be, when you logged in the user, and on the landing page you want to notify that login was successful, or you want to give some welcome message that welcome user and stuff, we can easily use the asynchronous snack bar, right? So this was the important, or I can say this is the good a new widget, we can say, the improved widget from the Flutter team. And yeah, this looks pretty amazing, and I'm going to use it in all of my applications, because the I just love the snack bars, how they pop up and give the message to the users, and it just improves and look our application more mature with the design and stuff, right? So yeah, this was the asynchronous snack bar from my end, and that's all from my side. I hope you enjoyed the session, and you were able to understand what was the problem with the material buttons, and why they came with the new solution, right? So yeah, that's all from my end. If we have any questions, we can go ahead and yeah, over to you, host.
Hi again, Hasnan.
Yeah, thanks. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much.
I guess I'm going to ask you always, how are you, for how many times I'm going to meet you.
Well, I'm just the same as you left me before your talk.
Great.
So I was in a pretty decent place then. I'm in a pretty decent place now.
Cool.
Anyway, so thank you so much for that very, very extremely informative talk, Hasnan. Well, we don't really have any questions from the viewers regarding this at the moment. So I guess we're just going to move on with the event. But of course, I would love to see you towards the end of the event again. So do stick around. We have a lot of
Okay.
things coming up.
So,
And yeah.
is it possible to share this link to
Oh
public
yes. Oh
chat so
yes.
that they can go ahead
Absolutely.
and understand what the detailed article of the material buttons,
Yep. Well, I've got
So,
the link and I'll share it right away.
okay, great.
We'll get it to our viewers. No problem.
Okay, great.
All right. Great, Hasnan. Thank you so much. We'll see you towards the end.
Thanks a lot.
Can't wait.
Thanks for having me.
So, ladies and gents, that was Hasnan, and he was talking about all the different things that you can do with the material button. And that kind of brings us to the half of our show today. Of course, before we do anything, we just want to remind you to tweet about what we are doing today. Don't forget to tweet, let the world know what's going on here. Tweet with the hashtag #FlutterBLR and hashtag Flutter Engage Extended Bangalore. And let everybody know, let everybody in on the fun. So, moving on, we are going to be joined by Thomas Burkhardt. He is going to be talking about this new product, this new project of his that he calls Get It, and we're going to see it in action. So I think Thomas is not available at the moment. I don't really see him, but oh well, I guess he's back. So let's have Thomas join in. Hey there.
Hey.
Hey, Thomas. We were waiting for you.
Well, we are a little bit early, right?
Well, I was just waiting for you. All I could see was your empty chair, and I was like, maybe he's gone for a break.
Yes. There are some things that from nature you can't pull it off. Yeah. So.
Oh man. well. Yep. I agree. Well, anyway, how's your day been going? How's the day treating you?
Let me see that I get here in the correct ear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's better. Okay.
All right. Well, while Thomas checks that out, Thomas Burkhardt has joined us all the way from Germany. He is a GDE, and he is going to be talking about his latest pet project, which he calls Get It. I'll just let him tell you more about it. But other than that, Thomas, I do have a few questions for you. Well,
yeah,
first of all, I want to know more about Guru meditation. And how did that come about?
This is actually something pretty old. As you see, I'm one of the older members of the community, and
nonsense.
And the second computer that I had was a Commodore Amiga, and when a Commodore Amiga crashed, there was a nice image of some yogi sitting there meditating, because you could then think what's happening, yeah. And in big letters, Guru meditation above it.
Oh,
and somehow it felt right.
And that's what you decided to name your blog.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And another thing that I wanted to know was, you claim to have a superpower of bringing the right people together. How does that work?
I don't know. I can't really say. The thing is that I think I'm quite good at networking. And I remember things from people that what they're doing, and very often when I meet someone new, I think, oh wait, this guy has to meet that one. This would be really make sense, yeah. And this is.
Oh, okay. well, that's a unique superpower. I have to give you that. I have trouble remembering people's names, which is a very, very bad thing that I just told everybody who's watching us, and I shouldn't have, but there it is.
Actually, I'm also really bad in names. But I can, if I have something to link the person to, then then it works pretty well. This is.
Oh, well, that's your way of probably remembering names. It's how it's wired, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway,
Yeah.
well, Thomas, I leave you to it. Let's
I have
get to
one last thing. One last thing to do.
Yep. Well, we're going to be sharing. You've shared your screen, and well, I'm going to leave you be with our viewers and let them know.
I'm fine. Yeah, we can go. Oh wait, I have to see. This. Cool. Okay, so yeah, get it in action. I have to correct a little bit the last thing. It's not my newest project. I have many different newer projects. Actually, Get It was the first package that I ever wrote right at the beginning when I when I started with Flutter. So to understand it a little bit, what is Get It? I want to show you an example of my current the current project that I'm working on is a visualization for a drone detection system. Yeah, this is the current project that I'm working on, and there are a lot of different aspects. Actually, here you see it once on the mobile and on desktop in parallel, and internally this looks somehow like this here. And you see, we have some managers. That do all the logic that has to be done. Then we have services that care for everything that goes to the outside, and we have an UI. Yeah. So if I have a system like this, I automatically I get a problem. How do I access all these managers and services? Yeah, especially if they have to access each other also. And when I started with Flutter, the only solution that was there was inherited widget. Actually, there was no provider. There was nothing else, and for me, I really had trouble to understand inherited widgets, and I didn't get them really to work. At least I didn't get them to work in a way that they updated the UI when I wanted it to. And I came from .NET, and there I was used to use a service locator called Splat. And so I decided, okay, let's port Splat to Dart. And I also knew streams from .NET, and Dart had streams, and so I was set. I could start writing apps, because with Get It I could suddenly access my my business objects, and with streams and stream builders I was happy. I could create my things. So okay. In the meantime, Provider is there that also does a pretty good job on this. And the only thing that I don't like, in my opinion, it's really a matter of taste, but it's one of the things that I don't like is that inherited widgets and providers are tightly coupled to the widget tree. And this means two things. One of the things is you need always a build context to access it. And the other thing is that your widget tree gets cluttered with builders to access the objects inside a provider, and both are not really what I wanted to have. So what is and Get It is it's actually it's a service locator. It's really fast. You need no context, and yeah, it's pretty easy to use. Have an example. Here we have in the wait, I have to get here. So here this would be the typical way how I access my model object. if I used an inherited widget. Yeah, then I have update. So with getIt, I do it differently. Pretty often I assign the getIt itself isn't singleton. Yeah, so it has an instance variable that where the actual getIt instance lives. But and it has even a shortcut that you could call it getIt.I. But in most cases, I just assign this instance to a global, or nowadays called ambient variable, so that I can easily access the getIt instance from everywhere. So in a setup function that is called at the very beginning of my app, I register my I register for example, my app model as a singleton. And with the nice thing is you can register types with getIt with their abstract supertype. And then you have the concrete implementation that is stored inside getIt. We will see why this is helpful in a moment. Okay, after registering, from then on, I now can just access it in this way, either with the get, and I pass the same type that I was used for registering, or because getIt is a callable class, I can shorter write it in this way. So now this is all you have to do. Then we have different types of how you can register your objects. There is the register singleton that we just had, but there's also you can also register an object as factory, which means that every time you access this type, you will get a new instance of this object. For this, you have to pass a factory function when you're registering this this type inside getIt. And there are lazy singletons. This means that in contrast to register singleton, where you have to pass an actual instance that is registered, a lazy singleton gets a factory function passed in, and the instance is only created the first time somebody accesses this object in the code. And after that, it will always get the same instance. So this is helpful in cases if you have some object that will take some time to create, and you don't want to have to this time during your startup process necessarily, but only if it's really needed. So this is the thing. Then I said before, we can register with a different type to the actual object that we pass in. And one application, for example, is here in this example that I want to switch out the application, the implementation of my app model, depending if I'm in testing mode or in release mode. Yeah. So in one case, I register a mock, and the other one, I register a concrete implementation. And the rest of the app always refers to it over the type that is used for registering in this case, the super type of them. And you will always get the correct implementation in the rest of the app, and you don't have to care about this. Some people don't like the fact that you have to when you write tests, that you first have to initialize a service locator, and this can be easily solved by this pattern here, in that you pass in as optional values the models or the services. Actually, it's not absolute up to date. Today, this would need to be nullables because it's optional. And then it will automatically, if somebody passes in an object in a unit test, for example, it will use this. And if no object is passed in, the one inside getIt will be used. So this is one thing that you can use if you are not comfortable using the service locator inside your testing. Then we have something that actually Get It is something that is continuously evolving with the needs that I myself and others had when using it. And one of the things that that I realized is pretty often we have the problems that we have some, especially services, that we have some service that takes some time to create, or it needs some async call to create. And still, I wanted a unified way how to handle this. And for this, we have the async registering functions, same as the others, but in this case, we have to pass an async function, async factory function to all of them. And I have to use, in this case, if I want to access the element, I have to use a wait and get async, at least until the object is completely created. If it has already created, if it's not a factory, but for singletons and lazy singletons, it is we can after the first await was done, we can just access it with as if it would be any normal object. And to make this a little bit more easy, I show you now an example that that is not so uncommon. How we solve this if I have multiple objects that depend even on each other. So, for example, if we have here a scenario where our app model depends on 3 services, and one service also depends on another service, and parts of them are asynchronous in their initialization. So normally this would create, you would have to write quite some code in your startup routine that is not really nice to maintain. And for this, Get It has a feature to solve this. If we look at this example here, we have the config service, which is needs an asynchronous registration. In this case, it shows we pass in an initialization function that is awaited. Then we have the REST service, for example. The REST service has a static function that returns a future of itself. So I can directly pass it in. This is one of the patterns that is quite nice. And now the database service. This has for this there is some async function that I can call to create my instance, and I pass in just this async function, and I now pass in a second parameter depends on. Here I can add types that this service is depending on when it is created, which means that it will wait calling this function until the config service is finished, so that you can be sure that it can be accessed without awaiting it anymore. And in a case if you have a normal singleton, not an asynchronous one, but that one that has to wait for asynchronous objects, there is the register singleton with dependency functions, which this here depends on all these 3. So if you set up your services like this, then you can in your startup page just use a future builder and call the Get It Already function, which returns a future that completes only if all registered asynchronous objects have completed their creation function. And with this, it's very easy to show a loading spinner at the beginning and then go over to the real page, for example. Then we have something, another feature that is actually, I think it's one of the last features that I added, scopes, because there are cases where you need, where it's not easy, or let's say differently. There are scenarios where you want to have more control over the lifetime of objects inside Gedit. And in this case, this is the so-called base scope. And in this, in our startup functions, we have registered three objects. And the interesting one is here the Richard Singleton user registered an anonymous user object, which, for example, will provide as a dummy as long as a real user has logged in. But my code always accesses it as user. Yeah, so the rest of the code doesn't have to care if this is an anonymous user or if it's a real user. It will all use the user. So now, as soon as the user logs in, I push a new scope. I can give it a name. I don't have to, but I can. I give it a name, and I now register a logged-in user object, also with the type user. Normally, you couldn't register two instances of the same type in Gedit. And I also can directly pass in a disposing function that should be called if this object gets destroyed. And the interesting thing is now, with the scopes, if now any part of the of your code tries to access a user object, it will automatically get this one. This one will be overshadowed from that one. Yeah. So which can be quite handy. Another example would be if this is an online shopping system that I have, for example, the moment I start adding items on my into a shopping cart, I push another new scope and register the shopping cart object. Yeah, and now is the thing that I can now call pop scope, and with each pop scope, one of these layers will get deleted until you are back on the base layer. You can also directly address how many scopes should be popped. For example, if the user is here and the user logs out, it will directly pop these two scopes, and you are back on this level. And so your app logic has a very clear management of the different app states. Yeah, and this lets you, it gives you a lot of control over the things. For example, especially for if a user shouldn't be allowed to do things without to be logged in. If the logged in scope isn't there, then you can't access anything. Yeah, and when the scope that you create when a user is logged in gets destroyed, you are sure that the next time the next user comes, everything is really fresh and you are back. So scoping is a very nice thing, and if you say the scoping is different than, for example, scopes that you get with inherited widget or with provider, because that scopes are closely related to the widget tree. Yeah, so it's no problem to override on a lower level in the widget, or on a lower level of the widget tree, an object inside an inherited widget with a new one, but it's always directly connected with the widget tree. This can have an advantage. Definitely, for example, for theming, it makes absolute sense for theming. But in my opinion, in many cases, scopes are much more related to business processes than they are with the widget tree. And this is why Gedit chooses another approach here and stays completely separate from the widget tree in this way. Yeah. Okay. You can, if you want, you can have even more control over the startup. And I was not really, I wasn't absolutely correct when I said it's not possible to register more than one instance of the same type in Gedit. It is possible if you provide them an additional name, if you really need to, yeah. But I typically don't advise it because it really makes things more complicated, and especially with now that we have scopes, it's often not necessary. But I know there are several users that use it extensively, and they are really happy about it. Now, so far, Gedit was all about accessing objects. And I always use them together with streams, for example, or with value notifiers, and then with value notifier builders or stream builders in UI. And several users asked me, would it be possible to add some sort of state management functionality into Gedit to make the updating of the UI even easier? And I thought about it, and honestly, I took some inspiration from the way how Provider does things, and especially how Flutter Hooks does some things. And the result of this is a new package. It's called the Gedit Mixin. And the Gedit Mixin allows us exactly to do this, to observe objects inside Gedit. And to explain this, I have here some examples. For example, we will have registered a value notifier string inside Gedit in the next slides. We also will have registered a class model which extends change notifier, and that itself, for example, here the country property. If you set if you update the value of the country property, it will update will inform all listeners to the model objects. But it also has a member that is itself a value notifier, yeah, that you can that somebody could normally listen to with some builder. And then we have a stream, and in future we will see. So this object is inside Gedit in the next pages. And one of the possibilities is now we use the Gedit Mixin with our widget, and we can directly use it with a stateless widget. And as soon as we add this with Gedit Mixin, we get a handful of really nice functions. The easiest one is the get one, which is just a shorthand for the way I would normally use it with the instance of Gedit. Yeah, so this just returns me the value. But now it gets the watch function is much more interesting. The watch function is used. It observes any value notifier or value listenable. In this case, I want to watch an object inside Gedit of this type here, and it will return me the latest value of this here. And the interesting thing is now it will not only return it every time this value notifier inside Gedit changes. It will trigger a rebuild of this widget and assign the latest value again. Watch only is similar, but in this case, watch only observes the whole model object, and if this then the member country, for example, yeah, and it will only update the UI if the country element changes. Watch X that's the same, but for this, the property has to be a value notifier itself, yeah, which is quite common. So watch X is one of the most powerful or most versatile functions in here. And with all of them, I get the latest value every time something changes inside the objects inside getIt. And this means that I don't need any builder here in my widget tree. Imagine you wanted to observe all these different things with classic builders. It would get really complicated down here. With this, we can just assign them to variables and use them. Only limitation is, and this is a limitation that it shares with Flutter hooks, that these assignments have always to be to happen in the same sequence. So it's not allowed to have some conditional here or to repeat something. At the beginning of my build function, I have to do this, and then I can use them in the rest when creating my widgets. And this does not only work for simple value notifiers, but also for streams or for future. And again, here I would have to nest here a stream builder with a future builder, and with the get and mixin, I can just assign them to variables and use them here, so the UI tree stays very, very clean. And then we go one step further. That it's not only we can not only get values when it changes, but also I can register handlers. And this is something that wouldn't be normally possible in a stateless widget, because normally if I want to, for example, I want to show a dialog as soon as a value listenable changes or a stream emits a value or a future completes, yeah, I would have to use a stateful widget and register and start listening on these objects in init state, and make sure to update them in the chain dependency, and also to dispose them in dispose. With the getIt mixin, I don't have to do this. I can do it in a normal stateless widget. I can register any handler, and the mixin takes care of the registering and also of the disposal as soon as this object this widget leaves the widget tree. And there's even for the scoping is a function here that you can push a new scope at the beginning, and it will get popped when this widget is deleted. Yeah, there is my blog where you can find more information on the stuff that I'm doing. You can find me on Twitter most of the time, often too much time. And in most chats, you find me under Escomateur. If you have any questions, just ping me on Twitter. I'm always happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Hi again, Thomas.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that wonderful, wonderful talk. One of our viewers does have a question for you. Tristan asks, once that you are in the logged in scope, do you have access to the payment manager? Do we have a different set of app state depending on the topmost scope?
Wait, I think I didn't get this completely. Wait, let me think. So if I'm can you just repeat it? I had just a little problem with my screen. Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely fine. So Tristan asks, once you are in the logged in scope, do you have access to the payment manager, or do we have a
unless you have an object that shadows the lower one, yeah. So you have always access to everything that is registered below. Yeah.
Okay, so do we also have a different set of app state depending on the topmost scope?
Only if you would register another instance there.
Right.
So but you have you get a lot of possibilities by this, yeah. Yeah, or for example, if you have the situation that that depending on some user selection, you have to select a different backend service. For example, you can push a new scope and change it, and get this and adapt it this way. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I hope that answers your question, Tristan. And Thomas, that's all the questions we have. So I guess we'll just move on with the show, but we would love to have you towards the end again. So do stick around and I'll see you again very, very soon.
Yeah, sure.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Thank you. All right, guys. That was Thomas, and he was talking about his project called Get It. And I hope that you have seen it now in action and that you'd go and give it a shot. Moving on with our event. Next up, we have Manas Pratap Thakur. He is a software engineer here at Geeky Ants, and today he's going to be talking about developing blockchain apps with Flutter, which is also the topic of a very recent article that he wrote. So let's have Manas with us here.
Hey,
Hi there. Very good evening, Manas.
good evening to you, Digvijay.
How are you doing today?
Fine. How about you?
Been a long day.
Not really. Saturday, enjoyed.
Saturday. Yeah, well, of course.
Uh,
Saturdays are Saturdays.
yes.
Anyway, so as a short introduction for Manas, he has been, of course, working with us as a software engineer, and he is super passionate about using machines to solve man's problems. He loves contributing to open source projects, and he has tweaked a famous Godfather dialogue into with his own twist. Well, he does keep saying, "I'll send them a PR that they can't refuse," and it always cracks us up. So that's wonderful. Well, Manas, so I'll leave the stage to you and take it away. All the best.
Yeah. Thanks, Digvijay. Couldn't have introduced. So okay, let me share my screen. Yep. Namaste. And hey, welcome to Developing Blockchain Apps with Flutter. I'm Manas Pratap Thakur, a software engineer at Geeky Ants. And this guy right here is my Dash avatar. So according to the legend, if I were to be reborn as a Dash, this is how I would look like, right? So let's get started. Before we move on to the actual development, there are two things we need to know. That is blockchain and smart contract. So blockchain is a decentralized database that everyone can access. They have an intriguing property where once data is stored in a blockchain, changing it becomes incredibly difficult. Now, how do they do that? So each block has a data and a hash that is unique to that block. And each block also has hash of the previous block. And this is what makes a blockchain so reliable. Because if you tamper with any block, all the subsequent block becomes invalid. Now, hashes alone are insufficient to avoid tampering because computers these days are very fast. So they can recalculate all the hashes before any change is detected. So blockchain makes use of proof of work, that is a mathematical puzzle to slow down the creation of block. Also, blockchains are distributed, so they rely on consensus to agree which block is legit and which is not. So to tamper with the block, you'll need to recalculate all the hashes, redo all the proof of work, and take control of more than 51% of the network. Now, this is very difficult to do. So that's why we cannot change anything once it is stored on blockchain. Then moving over to the smart contract. A smart contract is a small computer program that is stored in a blockchain. So they can remove many third parties from trustless ecosystems. But why should we trust a smart contract? Because since they are stored on a blockchain, they inherit some interesting properties. One, they are immutable. So once the terms of the contract have been agreed upon, they cannot be changed, and they are distributed. So once the contract is executed, everyone can verify the result. So now you know what a blockchain and smart contract is. Let's move on to the development. Now, you can develop any blockchain app in 4 general steps. First, you have to write the contract. Second, build the UI. Third, deploy the contract. And fourth, integrate the deployed contract with the UI. So today we'll be making an application that will mirror the working of a financial institution, right? Here, users could come and deposit some amount at regular intervals, and when the sum of these amounts reaches a certain threshold, we return this amount to the user with some return on investment. Now, if you had to do this without blockchain, you would need to go to a bank to establish trust between us and the user. But with blockchain, you get trust out of the box to raise this kind of capital, right? So contracts, there are a handful of blockchain that support smart contract, and the biggest among them is Ethereum. And we write smart contract using a special programming language known as Solidity. And we make use of Remix to write smart contracts. Let's jump right into it. So this is Remix ID. It is a browser-based ID. So while writing a contract, we first start with mentioning the version of Solidity that we are going to be using. Then we create a contract with the keyword contract and the name investment. Here we have all the variables that our smart contract will use, and we initialize them using constructor. At last, here are the methods that will help us accomplish what we are trying to do using the smart contract, right? Now, great thing about Remix is you could go here, you could compile, right? And you could see all the errors if there are any. Then you could come here, deploy and run, and you could deploy the smart contract, right? It is deployed. Now these are the 4 functions. So if I have to add deposit, I have to add 4 rupees as deposit. It is added, and when I check the deposit, I see here 4, right? And now without even building the UI, I could test all my all the functions of my smart contract, and this is super useful thing to do. That's why Remix is so good. So after we are done with the smart contract, we need to build the UI. Nothing super fancy here. We just need 2 things. We'll need 4 buttons to check the balance, to check deposit, to deposit the amount, and to withdraw the balance. And second, we'll need 2 text fields to display the balance and display the deposits. That's the UI, basic UI. Then we need to deploy a smart contract using Truffle and Ganache. So Truffle is a development framework for blockchains that run on Ethereum virtual machine, and Ganache will provide us with a test blockchain network. So in our Flutter project, at the pubspec.yaml level, we have to run a command truffle init. So it will initialize a couple of files and folders. The first among them is the contracts folder, and under this, you need to create a new file as investment.sol, and then copy everything from Remix and paste it here. Now, we did not need Remix actually. We could have just directly pasted it over here, but Remix is super useful, as you saw. And without building a UI, I could test, right? So you need to copy all this, paste it here. We have our contract. Now, second thing, under migrations folder, you need to create a file as to deploy contracts.js. Now we prefix it with to maintain the order of execution, right? And in this, we use the artifacts.require to tell which smart contract we are going to be interacting with. Now, the name I've given to my smart contract is investment, because we're trying to raise a capital without a bank. So here we tell, yeah, this is the smart contract we would like to interact with. And we have to export a function using module.exports syntax, right? And we use the deployer object to deploy a smart contract. So this is the second thing. And the third thing is to configure our truffle, right? Here, 3 parts. First thing, we have to give the host and port. This we get when we start Ganache. So this is Ganache, and here you have the RPC server with the host and the port. We do that here. Second, you know, to interact with smart contracts in Ethereum's ecosystem, we have something known as ABIs. So that is application binary interface. And here we need to say that in which directory we would like to store the generated ABIs, right? And third is some compiler information. But the really interesting thing here is the number of runs. So the compiler will optimize a smart contract as If the number is higher than this, the deployment cost would be more, and the cost to execute the functions would be less, and vice versa for a number lower than this. And yeah, you're correct. So to run any function or any command on a blockchain, we need to pay to the chain, right? So a number lesser than this will have a higher deployment cost, but lesser a function execution cost. So we have this, and so we are done with these three things, right? Contract and migrations instruction and configurer. So we need to jump over to Ganache, and we need to add our project like this. Here, you need to choose your truffle config.js. It will be at the pubspec.yaml level. And after you choose, you'll get an option saying save and restart, and you'll reach here, right? After that, at the pubspec.yaml level itself, run truffle migrate, and that will generate the ABIs for you. This is how the ABIs will look like. And we have a deployed contract. So after that, we need to integrate the deployed contract with our UI. Now this could, before doing the actual function, we need to initialize. For initializing, we need to get our credentials, we need to get the deployed contract, and get the contract public functions defined by the contract. So let's see. Yeah, we'll also be needing two packages for it. One is HTTP and other is web3.dart. Now we'll need HTTP package to connect to the RPC server, and we'll need a web3.dart package to connect to the Ethereum node to send our transaction or to interact with the smart contract. So we have these two packages. After that, first thing, we have to generate our credentials using the private key and then get our Ethereum address. We have this here. Then we need to get the contract address by parsing the ABI. Now ABI was generated here, and we need to parse that and get the contract address. So we have our address, we have the contract address, and then we need to specify all the public functions that our contract defines. We do that here, right? So after these three, we are done with the initialization. We are left with only two other things, that is reading and writing. So to read, we have like this. Here is the read one. Here I've generalized the read function. So wherever in the program you call, you just need to call this method. Here this function takes a function name, function arguments, and a contract, right? And it returns a result. Now to write, we do the same thing as in read, but we sign the transaction with our credentials because we are the owner of that thing, right? So yeah, we have integrated. Now let's see the app in action. I have it running over here. Yeah, here. So first checking the deposits, it's all is 0. Then when I deposit rupee 3, I have 3 in my deposit, but the balance does not. So because we have a threshold defined as rupee 12. So when I reach that threshold, then we'll credit everything to the balance. So another 6, that should be 9, that should be 12. Yeah. We have 12 here, and we have a balance of 15. That is, we returned the sum 12 plus return on investment, that was 15, right? That was rupee 3. So 12 plus 3, it is 15. Right? Tough maths, I know. And then we can withdraw the balance after it reaches the threshold. The user could withdraw the balance. And also notice one thing, this is my account in the test blockchain network, and transaction cost keeps on increasing because I executed something, right? So I have withdrawn, all is 0. So this is how the app will work. Now in smart contract that I told you, you get trust out of the box. So you don't need to go to a bank, and you can just raise capital like this. So you saw this, and the whole thing is open source. The whole code is open source. So if you decide to dive into it, you could do two things, right? You could attach it with a wallet. So you saw here, I have manually defined a private key, but instead of this, you could have a pop-up to the user saying, hey, would you like to connect this wallet? And when they have connected the wallet, you could use the same thing to to withdraw and deposit amount, right? Everything could be connected to that wallet. And the second thing is, I have deployed this on a test network. You could deploy it on an actual blockchain network, and that would be really satisfying, right? So why does this all make sense? Because with the release of Flutter 2.0, the most difficult part, that is integrating the blockchain with Flutter, with the UI rather, is done. You have to do that only once, right? And you just have to make minor tweaks for different platforms like web, desktop, and mobile. So that integration part that we have to do only once, that saves a lot of time, right? And thank you. We have developed this blockchain application. It is blockchain is a very exciting place to be in. I hope all of you have enjoyed. And this is my Twitter handle. That is the Manus Pratap. You could ask me any question there. You could ping me there. Yeah, that's it. And have a good day, everyone, or whatever is left of it, rather. Thanks.
Hi again, Manas.
Hey, Digvijay.
Thank you for that short, sweet, and crisp talk. It was brilliant to see what you've done. And of course, I've read your article as well, and it's brilliantly written. So thank you all for that. From our viewers' side, we do have a question. So, does gas fee depend on the size of the smart contract while deploying the contract?
Not the size, it depends on the amount of functions that the smart contract is doing, right? And so, like, if you are doing 10 multiplications, then the gas fee would be a lot more. And if you are doing only 3 additions, then the gas fee would be very less. And this is a very exciting thing because you see, when programmer has to pay for what he is writing the code, I am sure everyone will super optimize their code, and it would be great. And also, if I could share my screen for one last thing, I'll just show the user the gas fee that I paid, right? I have it over here. That person is lucky. So you guys can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so this is where I had deployed my contract. And here is the Ethereum gas fee that I paid. So this roughly comes to around 1,200. That should be, I think, $10, $15. Yeah. So this is the gas fee that I paid. Yeah.
Right. Well, this question was asked by our own Hasnan, so I hope, Hasnan, that answers your question. So we don't have any more questions from the viewers at the time for you, Manas. So of course we are going to move on with the show, and I would love to see you towards the end of the event again.
Same here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. All right, folks. So that was Manas, and he was talking about how he built a blockchain app in Flutter and how you can do it too. So do go check out his article at techblog@geekyants.com. Well, moving on, we are at the final stages of our event today, and it's a big one. We are going to be joined by Mariam Hasnani, who is a product manager at Google. Well, I would love to have her on screen with me. Hey there, Mariam.
Hi,
Nice
how are
to
you
see
doing?
you.
Nice
I'm good.
to see
How are you?
too. Good.
Well,
Can you help me pronounce your name?
Sure. It's Digvijay.
Digvijay. Did I say it right?
You got it right.
Okay.
First try. Well done. Anyway, I'm presuming that you're still in Seattle.
I am. It is 9 a.m.
Super early, right? I'm so sorry
Yeah.
for
No, it's
having to
okay.
wake up. At least have you had your early morning cup of coffee?
I don't actually drink coffee, but I did have cereal.
Oh, okay, that's good. Well, I feel a
Yeah.
little less guilty now.
Yeah.
So we are also going to be joined by Thomas for this Q&A session. So Thomas, why don't you head on back? There he is.
Hi.
Hi again,
Mariam.
Thomas.
Hi, Thomas.
Well, Mariam here is a product manager at Google itself, and she is the product owner of Flutter Web. So I think the best way to begin our Q&A session would be for me to ask you folks what you think, what you thought about the Flutter Engage event, and what was your favorite part of it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I am biased because I put in like several months of work into it. I think my favorite part was actually being able to answer live questions. I mean, I've only been on the Flutter team for a year. I was really excited to be able to do something live and actually meet everybody in person. But with the circumstance, it was nice to at least have the opportunity to kind of have a live or just be able to just chat with people. But I'm hoping in the future I actually get to see a lot of you.
Well, that's what we're hoping. Thomas, what about you?
To be honest, as somebody who is almost always on the master channel on of Flutter, it was not so much surprises from the technical point, but I was very, very happy to see that desktop really gets out of beta. Actually, I don't know, was desktop at all in beta? It was, I think it jumped from alpha into stable somehow.
A caveat. So I think what we did is it is beta, but we decided to put a snapshot of what's in beta into stable so that folks can still leverage it and use it and try it in stable without having to switch a channel.
Because I was using it for quite some time. And the other thing that I really found amazing was the announcement by Toyota, because this is one of the, I regularly get the question, oh, are you sure that Flutter will stay? Because Google has an infamous history of discontinuing products. And so an announcement like this, that companies like Toyota set on it, and other big companies, that is a big reassurance that it's the right technology to use. Yeah, and what I also really loved was the ability to see some more people of the team live. Yeah, so people like Leaf or like Bob. That you because you communicate with them for quite some time over Twitter or over issues on GitHub, but to see them live and you get a totally different feeling, and it changes really the thing the next time you chat or you write an issue, because you now have a feeling for the person, and this was I really enjoyed it.
Well, you have a face to put right next to the person now.
Yeah, but not even the face. We had a face already, but really just it makes such a difference to see somebody talking. It is. I found this really. It was actually I wasn't aware before how important it is really.
Yeah, you can hear their voice when they write comments in your GitHub issue.
I thought I was the only one.
Exactly.
I mean, you also got a glimpse into all of our houses. I'm currently in my garage. For the Engage event, I had put all my plants behind me so that it would look a little bit more lively than just a bunch of gray storage units.
Oh, well, that's fine as long as you're here. So, Mariam, I need to ask you this, and I'm sure you must get this a lot, but a lot of folks have been talking about what the stage the Flutter Web is in now and the current state of it. And they're talking about how Flutter Web right now is not exactly made for websites, but rather allows your mobile apps to run at a URL with your browsers. So any comments on that?
Yeah, I guess they've listened to me kind of say that over and over again. So my job is done. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I think when we were going to stable, one of the main things we were thinking about is we know that just like Flutter mobile has been around for Flutter for 2 years now, right? Or even longer. And so for web, it's our first time going to stable, and we know that we can't do everything. You know, it's we considered this as like our V1, our way of getting it out the door to you so that you could start building in production, and so that we could start getting a lot of feedback and figuring out exactly what you want to use it for. And when you're coming from something that's built for mobile, which is built for apps, it's the use case that makes the most sense is web apps. And so that's why we know that we've seen early adopters use it for that use case. We know that we have a lot of the framework built for that specifically. And so having an engine that just runs on the web, that is using the same framework as mobile, it just made sense to first go with web apps. We're not discounting a lot of the other use cases that the web brings, but the web platform has been around forever. And and we're not competing with the web platform. We are trying to give another framework, add another tool set to you to be able to do things on the web. And so right now, this tool set is best for web apps because we've tried it, we've tested it, we have test infrastructure in place for it. We have everything that is really going to make you successful for those experiences that don't need indexability and don't need a lot of large static content, because usually apps don't. It's more around that dynamic functionality. And so that's why we emphasized it, because we know we have a lot of work to do still, but we know that what we've put out is good and ready for at least building those production web apps.
Right.
Yeah, actually, and there's another aspect that I personally, for example, why I love it. For dinosaurs like me, who never got into the web stuff, it's amazing that I'm now able to I can write a web app that works, and I don't have to learn JavaScript. This is an extremely important thing for everyone who is not coming from the web area, and he has the request. Okay, I want to show something on the web. I did it just recently for a charity project that I'm working. It was just a really little piece of app, and it was just cool. I could develop it on my computer, running on desktop, and then I just built it for web, drag the folder to Netlify over, and it was running. And this is pretty cool. This is really something I extremely enjoyed.
That's great to hear.
I guess people should just, that makes a lot of sense. People should just take it as another gateway into the web, right? Just another passage that they can take, probably for the uninitiated, maybe. Just an easy way to get into the flow of things, I guess. So yes, a question for you guys. Of course, before we do that, just a quick reminder for all the viewers, if you have any questions for Mariam or Thomas, just leave them in the comments and we'll bring them up here. So yes, with Flutter now supporting multiple platforms, is there any advanced widget that can switch the UI based on the type of platform it's supporting, say mobile or web?
Okay, so I'm going to try to see if I can understand the question. Is it to be able to switch UI in terms of using specific packages or widgets between mobile and web that are different? Or is it more so like responsive design?
It's more towards responsive design. I guess people are looking for a quick switch that would help them fix things very quickly, switch them up between the different platforms that they view their apps on.
Yeah. So we have a few things that are already there in terms of like layout builder, which really focuses on like the widgets within your layout, and it's like resizing those. But then we also have media query, which tests what's your screen size so that you can adapt to that. I personally would use both and not just rely on one, because they both do different things. But then I think Material also came out with something called, I think it's called adaptive navigation. I can look it up quickly.
What I wonder does normally I have this I can use this constants in my app. The platform.is iOS is Windows as a is there does also support is web? Can I query it in this way?
Say it one more time. Sorry, I was looking up adaptive navigation.
No. Normally, if you have code that is platform dependent, you can query the platform with platform.is Windows, is Linux, or is but I'm not sure does it also support is web. So can I easily query if I'm running in the browser or not?
Yeah, so we don't have that for web yet. I believe there's an issue and there is a discussion internally. You can actually read it in the issue that's happening. But we do have K as web. So that's been around for a while, since like we came out with the technical preview. And so we recommend using that for now until we've sorted out whether we want to add it to the platform stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the material widget is called adaptive navigation, and it's kind of cool because it lets you change how your navigation works between mobile and like desktop form factors, because the web runs on both mobile and desktop, right? So your responsiveness isn't just moving to desktop and a bigger screen. It's making sure it works on tablet and basically any device the internet runs. So so I think try those. If they aren't working, file issues, exactly what you're looking for, because that's the best way we can help in creating new APIs or new widgets, or just leveraging the ones we have and making them more robust.
All right. Well, of course, also with the recent technological advancements that are going on around the world, what are the best ways to implement artificial intelligence and machine learning with Flutter?
That is a great question. I think there's sorry, I'm going to keep pulling up stuff because it's going to jog my memory.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think I believe there's some, like, Firebase has a bunch of ML stuff. And so I think they have something called like ML Kit or ML Vision as like an actual Firebase plugin. So I believe plugins are your best way, right? Like in Flutter, plugins let you do anything with native APIs on whatever platform you're on. So if there's APIs that do AI and ML in JavaScript, using plugins or JS interop to be able to just bring in that JavaScript API will let you do it. I believe there's a bunch of TensorFlow, which is like ML and AI JavaScript APIs out there that you can easily bring into Flutter Web. And I think there's also like some third-party TensorFlow plugins like TF Lite, I think it's called. But there are actual like Firebase official plugins, which are Firebase ML Custom. Yeah, Firebase ML Custom and Firebase ML Vision, which I want to say are gonna work and are supported on the web because they are coming from the Firebase team. So try those. If you see things are missing, Flutter is open source, so you can build the plugins for other people to use as you experiment, or work with somebody on it. There's so many packages out there that I think are already there, so collaborate with whoever the owner is, or file issues for the issues that you find. I hope that answers the question.
Well, it does. Thomas, thoughts?
Honestly, this is one of my blind spots.
Okay.
Because I hadn't any application yet for it, and the only thing that I tried in the past was also to try some cloud services in this way, but I honestly, this is one of the places where I have really no idea.
All right. Well, we'll then move on to a crowd favorite. Well, with the recent improvements in scroll and animations, will the iOS jank issue be resolved?
That is a great question. So I think if you, again, 1 second, I'm going to look it up. There is a project in GitHub. There is a project in GitHub. It is project/188. That has all the issues that we're looking at and that we're working on. We've made good progress since the issue has been brought up. And one of the things that we're working on is specifically the shader warm-up. And it's something we're working on short-term, but then we're also working on like long-term fixes that won't require that warm-up. But yeah. We don't have anything like concrete that I can say. I'm also not working on the issue or like working with the team that's on the issue. I just know they're very heads down and working on it. So I hope that gives some confidence. But yeah, look at GitHub. You'll see everything that we're working on. You can provide your own input.
Yeah, Hixie dropped recently a comment on one of my issues on this topic, where he announced that the shader warm-up, that they have finished this and it works, but it still will take time to inside the whole consideration of it. But even to hear that there's something going on and they have success, I think is really good. So it's yeah.
Yeah, I think in the Flutter Engage Q&A, one of the things, I don't know if it was Eric or Ian, but one of the things they said is iOS Metal, think of it as just like web, right? Like it was basically rebuilding to another platform. It's a whole new platform. It's not just like an upgrade to like a few APIs. And so it's going to take some time for us to exactly make it stable. And so these are one of the issues that we found, and we're hoping to make improvements quickly.
All right. Well, Thomas, here's one for you. What do you think is a good way to handle background processes in Flutter effectively?
Sorry, I also this is one of the things I have never looked into, honestly, and and I know this is one of the it's an area. It's a little bit a stepchild on how we support this, but yeah, I can't really help in this way. I know there are possibilities, but not exactly how. No.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just leave it open for the community then. Get it answered somewhere, hopefully.
I know
right.
there is a Medium article on this topic. That is, I think it's I think Hixie said it once that it was updated recently. Maybe check that it's worth to look there.
All right. All right. Well, I guess we'll just have to look for that Medium article then.
Yep.
And we will do that. Anyway, moving on. So, Mariam, with the growing need for securing data, can Flutter actually work with encrypted data storage on the web? Say, for example, like keychain in iOS?
Yeah, that's a good question. So again, Flutter sits, Flutter's web engine basically transcompiles to JavaScript, right? And so by doing that, we can do everything that the browser can. But not beyond anything the browser can. So like, I think with the iOS like keychains, if they're mediated by the browser, then I think it should work. I don't know if there's a direct API. I don't know much about like iOS keychain, to be honest. But I think in terms of like encrypted data storage, I have seen some packages that are in pub.dev that allow you to do that on the web. I think Hive has support for web and encryption. You can double check me on that. But yeah, there's possibilities. I mean, if the browser can do it, if there's an API for it, you can definitely do it.
Yeah, well, it's that simple as that then.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a click of a button. There is work involved, but it's possible.
All right. Well, moving on then. Does Flutter Web also support code splitting, lazy loading, server-side rendering, and SEO, maybe?
Wow, that's a jam-packed question.
We'll take it one at a time. All right, code splitting.
All the hard stuff.
Yeah, just throwing it all at me at once. No, it's okay. Okay, let's take it one by one. So I think code splitting is what you said first. If code splitting, you mean like being able to defer. I mean, I see code splitting and lazy loading right now as the same thing in terms of what we can support.
More or less,
and that is being able to defer like your libraries or your assets and lazy load your entire application so it loads faster, right? And so we have deferred libraries. They don't work on mobile, but they do work on web. They're a Dart library. And we actually did a lot of work. Our team did a lot of work on the gallery app that we have as like a demo. And that app has so many assets and so many fonts. And so we tried deferred libraries there to see if we could make it a lot faster to boot up. And by deferring a lot of those fonts and assets you don't need right away. And so if you look at that, the sample code should be open sourced. You might see some examples of how we've done that exactly. I am hoping that we as a team can really understand exactly what we did there and write it in a way that explains it better in some sort of Medium article or documentation soon. So that I think covers code splitting and lazy loading.
Right.
And then server-side rendering, the simple answer is no. Right now, right now that is not on our roadmap. I mean, it's not something in the near term that we have planned out. But for SEO, it is something that we are thinking about. We know that's like a huge thing, especially coming from Google, and know that that's a huge part of why people build on the web, just making your reach even greater through SEO and indexability. And so we know that's a huge ask, but it's also a huge amount of work. And so right now, if you want your entire app to be indexable, that's probably not going to be your best use case for Flutter. And so again, we're best for apps. So like if you have an app, you could have a landing page that's written in HTML and have the SEO there, because once you have somebody using a web app, usually they log in, and usually most of the web apps that you log into do not index or SEO because of privacy. So there are ways, there's also ways of using, like, we have platform views, so you can put in meta tags if you really need to. And there are ways of still reaching onto that JavaScript level that we expose to you to be able to do these things, or like the DOM level. But right now it's not out of the box. And I don't have like concrete timing or exactly our plans yet. But I hope to answer this question better in the next Q&A at an event. So stay tuned.
Well, it's something that people can at least look forward to.
Yeah.
Sometime. Or we'll just have to start a hashtag on Twitter again. Maybe it'll be a trend.
that is one way.
Yeah, because apparently that gets a lot of stuff done today.
Yep, trending on Twitter.
Trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
Google SEO. Thomas, what are you looking most forward to?
You mean in general, or?
Well, out of these four things, what do you want, Thomas?
Actually, I think the lazy loading is. I would really love to see that the whole Flutter framework would be able to automatically load it in parts, in the parts that you use. It is surprising with this small app that I just tried. If you put in a CSS spinner around your app, it changes the perception totally. If this loading time is really, at first I didn't have it, and the first reactions I showed, wow, this is really slow loading. And then it's oh yeah, it looks not bad. No, it looks much better. But I think this could be even better if we had some automatically breaking down the app in pieces as they are used. But on the other side, I see that it is. I guess it's really pretty complex to do this, and also I'm not sure if it's really needed, because the main application is really it's a single page web apps, I would say, if you do this. And if I go on any more complex web offering, like be it Figma, be it any online editor, it takes a moment. People are used to it. That it takes a moment till you get to your app. I think really performance is one of the things that is much more important for me. That we even get even faster, because this is the thing that people measuring. us at this point, that they say, oh, with React we are it's much more fluent, and we say, yeah. Okay, especially on mobile, I think it's currently not optimal. But the advances that were made over the last 3 months were incredible. Leading up to to Flutter Engage, how that suddenly, wow, what happened? It was really going much faster. And so I'm also hoping that we will see more there in this area.
All right, well, that's that. We have a question from one of our viewers. So Tristan wants to ask if there is a way to customize how widgets are rendered in HTML and JavaScript, so we can at least manage those web aspects ourselves.
I mean, there's always able to do raw widgets, and like I think I'm personally the type of Flutter user I am is I stick with out of box and what what Flutter gives me, and I try to work with that. But I also do that because that's how I can give feedback to the team without doing like the extra stuff, because I'm trying to be somebody who's like a novice user that just like, if I take what I'm given, can I do what I'm envisioning? And so I think in terms of, can you customize how widgets are rendered in HTML and JavaScript? I mean, you can access all the engine and the below code, so you can definitely tweak it and mess with it. I personally can't give advice on how. I don't know, Thomas, if you've done it and if you have better advice.
I'm currently wondering, don't we all? Okay, I know if we have different ways how we can create the web apps. One is with CanvasKit, and CanvasKit is, from my understanding, exactly like in a web app, Skia just draws everything, right? So there your buttons have nothing to do with HTML. It's just you can do everything like normal. And even without this, custom paint will always work. So you can create your completely own buttons if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
so I don't know if we're answering the question exactly, but I was taking it from like the HTML backend perspective, just because it mentioned HTML. But yeah, I hope it helps answer. If not, feel free to rephrase and I can try to answer it again.
Well, I hope that answers your question, Tristan. And well, if it doesn't, ask again, and we'll try to do our best to answer it for you. Here's a general question. I mean, since Flutter has obviously been one of the plus points for Flutter was that it's really good at rendering stuff, and people have been building a lot of games with it. So a question that's been coming up a lot is Flutter good enough for mainstream game development yet?
I mean, I'd ask that back to y'all. I don't think game was something we actively go after, or like that we're keeping strict tabs on. It is something cool that we've been seeing people do. I think there's like, what is it, Flame, that somebody's building, like a Flame engine based on Flutter. So I think there's a lot happening. I can't say whether like we're ready for it or not ready for it, because it seems like whether we're ready for it or not, people are building with it. So I would ask the people who are building whether they find any gaps, and I hope they're creating issues if that's the use case they see with Flutter. But it's not something we're actively like keeping our tabs on.
Yeah, I also would say Flutter is it's not the ideal gaming platform. This is just the case. There are definitely other platforms that are currently the go-to platforms. For example, if you want to go cross-platform, that you go Unity, for example, yeah, and there you get everything that is really but that you need in a gaming engine. And but sure, you can do things. There's a Flame. I will show you later at the end something what I'm working currently on. what goes in this direction. But still, PUBG or Asphalt don't see it really.
Well, not for now at least, but I don't think the community is going to let up. I mean,
Yeah.
Flame is already there. Something might come up.
Yeah.
That's how the community is, right?
Yeah, sure.
Ooh, here's a good one. So, can we build Chrome extensions using Flutter?
I don't know. I mean, it's not a use case that we're pushing. But I saw this question come up before, and I did like a quick search to see if anyone had tried, and I saw a few people actually were pretty successful. I haven't tried it for myself, but I think there was like, if you just search it, there's like a really good Medium article. I forgot by who. But they showed how they did it, and it seemed to have worked. So yeah, I mean, I feel like if there's a use case you want to use Flutter for, and you're not sure that we support it, or you've tried it and there's gaps, file an issue, because that's how it's going to let us know what you're trying to build with it and see what we can do to help fill those gaps. And if it makes sense from our vision as well. So.
Well, if it has been done, I guess that's more than enough for people to go ahead and give it a shot. Maybe you'll see more issues end up when you look into it. Maybe
I basically just asked for more work. Oh god, I'm just kidding.
It's so amazing what is done by people in the community. I think I know of 2 alternative embedders for Flutter Desktop to the official ones. Yeah, they are that people just built on their own. And for me, it's I said, wow, this is really complicated stuff. Yeah, but they do it. Yeah, and I'm really curious where we will see Flutter on in the future. It's the really nice thing is that in a way the amount of things that you have to build to bring it on a platform is it's not too much. Yeah, so the interface is very clean. So bring it to a completely new platform, like I think on the Raspberry Pi, for example, there is an example. It seems really doable. So we'll see more, I guess.
Well, hopefully, at least it gives us hope,
Sorry.
All right. So again, also, how is the support for Android TV and smartwatches looking for?
Man, all these questions, and my answers are all going to sound the same. Okay, so I think that we have an FAQ that answers this. Maybe I don't know, because I'm so focused on web. But yeah, the official answer is neither of them are officially supported. I mean, right now we've only gone out to web, mobile, and desktop in Mac OS, Linux, and others. But yeah, I don't believe we have plans, but I don't think I'm the best person to answer this question.
Oh
no. I don't think it's like, it's not, again, it's like the Chrome extension. I think it might have been tried, it might have been done. So I don't want to say it hasn't. Internally, have we talked with like some of these teams? Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not. I guess what I'm saying is I've been so focused on web. I don't think I'm the best person to answer on these plans. Yeah.
All right. Well, I know there have been a lot of questions going on, and this is the last one, I promise. And Mariam, this is specifically for you.
Okay.
What is the easiest way to get a dash brushie?
Oh gosh, you mean it's for me, like?
I just want one.
Exactly.
This is not a question for me. Okay, so I actually asked Nilay this because I had a feeling this would come up. She is the queen of dashes, and so is Shams. So yeah, this is a hard one. So I mean, like in the past, I mean, I've only been on the Flutter team once, and all I have, I don't know if you can see it, is one.
Oh, yeah. There he
right?
is.
I only have one, guys. Come on. And that was because I went to Interact. And
Oh no,
I
you have
got
one
it.
too. I want one too.
So like
Actually-
previously, I think what would happen is you'd go to the conference that we would have, right? And there's always a way to get one. I think at Interact there's like a vending machine of them, and you could like do the little like
The claw machine.
and grab it. And I hope in the future we actually do get to have those conferences again and give those opportunities. But 2020 was weird. We all got kicked out of our offices, all of our dashes. I just got my dash back. It was stuck in all of our supply of dashes were sitting in the office that we could not get to. So that's probably why you haven't seen a lot being dispersed, right? And I think right now, from Nilai's perspective, if you've contributed, and it's like a significant contribution to the community, she somehow gets informed of these contributions, and usually she figures out how to get them a dash. I mean, or the team does, but yeah, it's been hard to get our own access to the dashes to even kind of get them out to people. That's like the most honest answer I can give. I'm hoping in the future we have a better process. I think somebody asked, like, can you put this on like an actual store so that people aren't.
Idea,
I think we saw it on eBay or something. And yeah, we hope we can get it to people that really want one way or another. But I think it's a limited supply, and also it's hard to access right now.
Well, that's all you had to say. It's time to get cracking. Make some major contributions and probably talk to the
Yeah.
All
But
right, well,
please don't bombard her. She can't do much. It all just depends on yeah, it's if you're making a significant contribution, she usually will find out. Just yeah. I guess start trending on Twitter.
yeah, well, well, thank you for that. And that's probably all the questions that we have for you guys at the moment. Thomas, Miriam, thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us for this Q&A session right now. Of course, towards the end, I hope we've been able to answer a lot of questions and give a lot of information and insight to all of our viewers on a lot of different things. Thomas, something you wanted to say? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have one thing that I just want to show you the viewers currently, because it's something that I think not many have seen yet.
Okay, let's see it.
Okay.
Let's see it. Also, Miriam, I used to keep a tab on Table Manners Aside. Well, I hope you started again.
Oh, I did not know that was out there. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, without being able to go to restaurants, I think my favorite part of eating is going and talking to chefs and actually eating out. But my friend that I did it with, she actually moved out of Seattle and went back to school. So with her school schedule and me being busy with Flutterweb, it's been hard to write a food blog.
Yeah, well, one can only hope.
Yeah, I've instead been collecting houseplants. So yeah,
yeah, that's one way to spend your time.
One hobby for another.
Well, that works. That works. Anyway, here we have it.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Is that the Dashitar you got?
That's my Dashitar, yeah.
Oh, nice.
But even more important, this is a Flutter app.
Ah.
That's really cool.
What you see there is the current state of the Flutter WebGL plugin that I'm working on, which will allow you, or which allows you can already play with it, at least on Windows and on Mac. It allows you to write 3D graphics in Dart targeting the WebGL API. So what you are seeing here is actually is an texture widget, and texture widgets is it's a very nice thing in that plugins can slide in their own graphics buffer to the texture widget, and that's what I'm doing here. We use an OpenGL ES library called Angel from Google, and implement with this the WebGL API for Flutter. So you can now do soon do exactly all the stuff that you could do on WebGL with Flutter.
Wow. Well, that's pretty close to PUBG, Thomas. I think we can do it.
Actually,
that's pretty close.
If you are really, if somebody has really experience with WebGL, sure, you can really do a lot of, because what we are doing here is we directly access the GPU. So yeah.
Well, hashtag release the hype engine.
I saw the free dash hashtags from Tristan.
Yeah, well, he's enthusiastic about it. No, I mean, I don't see a reason why we shouldn't support him. I think
me either. I'm all about more dashes.
Yep. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much again for spending your time here with me and talking about all these different things. But before we wrap up this event, I just would like to have everybody else on the screen with us, all of our fellow speakers. Manas is here. Devanand is here as well. I'm still looking for Hasnan, although I cannot really see him. I think Devanand is having an internet issue. Oh,
no.
Hasnan is here as well, but I don't really see them. Why is that happening? Let me try adding them again.
Yeah.
Oh, Hassan, we can hear you, but we cannot see you.
I guess there is some problem with the webcam. 1 second. I'm just going to reload the stream.
All right.
Do it again.
And yes, Devanand is... What? This is a weird issue. I think, Devanand, you'll have to come back for this.
Maybe the Flutter web could solve it.
Maybe Flutter web could solve it.
Just pushing the boundaries.
Oh, Hassan is back. There he is. We'll just wait for Devanand. Anyway, while Devanand joins in back, that was fast, and we still cannot see you.
Oh no.
Should I come back again to the link?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can wait.
Yeah.
Take a few seconds. All right. While Devanand gets back to us, to all of you guys, thank you so much for joining us for this event today and giving away all of this valuable information and all of this knowledge to our viewers this evening. Of course, it is quite late in the evening here in India, but I mean, quite early for some of you guys. So again, thank you very much for all of that. There he is, finally. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this event today. These are your fellow speakers and all of the people that you have been watching for the past 2 hours. I hope that you would walk out today with something new, something that you would really like to try. And again, thank you everybody for joining us today. Before we close this thing, we have a sort of a tradition where we take a group picture. Well, we used to do it when we were physically meeting for meetups, but now it's just this, so we have to make do. So on the count of 3, just strike a pose, say engage, and we'll all click a picture together. So 3, 2, 1, strike a pose.
Engage.
There we go. Perfect. Anyway, so once again, I cannot thank you guys enough for spending your time with us today. I am Digvijay Vanchu, and I've been with Flutter Bangalore hosting Flutter Engage Extended, the Bangalore edition for you guys. Of course, times are tough. 2020 was horrible, but 2021 seems to be just another level of this strange game that we're all playing. So it's very important for you guys to remember to be kind to each other. Remember to take good care of yourselves, your families, and everybody around you. Take care of your mental health and be inclusive. And well, keep fluttering. So again, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in, and would love to see you again sometime soon.
Sure.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having me.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.